Declaration of Independence. I want to read you a couple lines from here. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. I'm going to skip down here. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. What Jefferson, when he wrote there, was talking about was a king far less horrible than the government we've created for ourselves. I had another video up and I had to take it down because somewhere along the line the volume died out, so sorry about that. I have a question for you. How many of you pay taxes? Ultimately, in one way or another, you pay taxes. Many times you pay taxes many times on the dollars that have already been taxed, which is unconstitutional. Things that are unconstitutional are not laws, they are illegal. But yet many of us every year, every April, write a check, we fill out a form, we give up our rights under the Constitution against self-incrimination, the Fifth Amendment, and we sign this form. I do it, lots of people do it, and we do it for one reason. Guys with guns will come and kick down our door and possibly kill us, and at the very least, put us in jail. It will strip you of your liberty and do who knows what to you. Now, at what point, when your back is against the wall, and you've redrawn that line in the sand so many times that you no longer can back up anymore, at what point do you have a right and a duty to throw off the chains, the force that has pushed you up against that wall? My personal belief, and this is how most Americans should start living their lives, is to just say no. That the federal government has no place in your day-to-day life. None. And it was the intent of the founders that the federal government would not be a place, a force that was invading you on a daily basis, telling you what to do, pushing you up against the wall. And that's what we have now. In my view, in reading history, in reading the writings of the founders, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, my view is that the federal government has two purposes: to make sure that foreign fighter jets are not flying over my house, dropping bombs on me. Okay? That's one. And two, make sure that the state of Virginia doesn't go to war with West Virginia or North Carolina or whoever else, any state that's surrounding your state might be. It's just to make sure that we don't go to war with each other, that the Union is preserved in the respect to which... trying to think of what I'm trying to say, and it doesn't matter. So then we talk about this issue of the guns. Your back's against the wall. You have nowhere to go. The force is coming at you. What do? Well, there are two schools of thought on this. Demand they arrest you and take you to jail. And if 100 million of us gun owners did that, let's just, even 50 million, they couldn't build prisons fast enough to hold us. The issue would come to a screeching halt for them. The second choice, they have a design and a desire to kill you. Well, that's a whole different ballgame. We really don't know what plans they have. So, you know, you could do either one of those things. You could say, I'm not turning in anything, I refuse to comply. And you can take me to jail if that's what you have to do, but I'm not going to comply. The other option is to physically fight back. Force greater than the force being applied to you, which you are, in my belief, constitutionally justified to do, just as the founders were constitutionally, not constitutionally, as far as they understood law and natural law, and justified in what they did to overthrow the King of England, who was a tyrant, who broke the contracts and the rules and everything else that was set out in writing, and broke that against the colonists. Therefore, he had a breach of contract. They were justified in what they did. We are far above and beyond justified in resisting tyranny here in America. If the founders were justified because of a tax on tea and the Stamp Act and a few other I mean, these things were nothing compared to what we have every day. The ridiculous amount of taxes just at the state level here in Virginia, at the county level, taxes and taxes and taxes. Do you know that we pay, when you want to eat out, just a little burrito from Chipotle, 11.5% sales tax. They call it the meals tax. So basically they take the state tax of 5% and they tack on 6.5% on top of that. And there's actually an insane idea here to increase the state sales tax. Yeah, that's a great idea. So we're taxed everywhere we get. I would love to have the Founding Fathers be brought back in a time machine to see what we've done with their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor. And then I'd stick them back in the time machine and send them back. I don't think we'd have an America by the time they got back there, because they'd see what we'd done with it. They'd seen how we squandered it. They see how we were willing to sit here and wring our hands and go, oh no, Mr. Biden, I know you're dumb as a box of rocks and you can't find yourself out of a wet paper bag, but please, here, take my liberty, because it's for the children. It's for the children. Because criminals always obey laws, right? Because when you pass laws, criminals obey those laws. That's what criminals do, don't they? They don't do bad things. And mass shooters who are on psychotropic drugs in their heads when their heads are screwed up, I'm sure that those people wouldn't do bad things, wouldn't get their hands on things to do bad things. Like, like this knife, which kills as many, if not more people than guns every year. Or, or this phone. Do you know how many people die while texting and driving every year? How about my car? We don't see talk about banning my vehicle because somebody, got behind the wheel drunk, or banning alcohol. Hey! Oh wait, that didn't work, did it? Because laws only apply to those who are willing to obey the law. And criminals, by definition, are criminals. They don't obey the law. They're not allowed to have guns. And you know what you're not allowed to do? It's this crazy thing in this country. In fact, everywhere. Pretty much universally in the world. You're not allowed to do this thing. It starts with an M. What is it? Oh, murder people! You can't murder them. God, what a novel concept. We're not allowed to murder people? Yeah, exactly. It's a good thing that we're not allowed to murder people. But yet, he who shall not be named, the usurper, the Kenyan that sits in the White House, and his little elf, Joe Biden, and the cronies and the thugs and these goons all throughout D.C. seem to think that this is a good idea. Okay. I refuse to comply. Okay, so do what you want. I'm done. My back's against the wall. I will not comply anymore. You want to see, if your goal, you politicians, is civil war, then by all means, pass the law. But as far as I'm concerned, the law doesn't exist. The laws, they're irrelevant. The federal government is irrelevant. We shouldn't be listening and taking orders from these people who have no sway, should have no sway in our lives. None. So my advice to you is, as far as the gun thing goes, don't worry about it too much. They're probably not going to get the votes to do anything of any substance. I would say if you're going to worry about something, worry about the UN Small Arms Treaty. But hey, guys with blue helmets, please come into my country. Oh, make my day. Make my day. Please come in here. You people don't do anything without us in the world. You're pathetic. The United Nations, you're pathetic. You're not going to do anything. So I don't know what everyone is all freaked out about. I'll tell you what I'm mad at myself about. I'm mad that I didn't go buy a truckload of AR-15s the day that that shooting happened. I'd have $20,000, $30,000 in my hands right now. I'm mad that I didn't go buy a truckload of ammunition that I could sell to everyone that I know that is looking for ammunition. Everybody. So, don't put too much stock in this gun ban. I just don't see it happening, honestly. I mean, these people, don't get me wrong, they got the media and the propaganda machine going. Propaganda. Here's news. This XYZ event happened. Okay, that's news. That's reporting on the news. Here's propaganda. Sweet little Johnny was only 5 years old, and his tragedy has done such irreparable damage to blah, 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 blah. The evil assault weapons coming up next. A 5-10 minute report on how evil these big black rifles are. Little Susie was a sweet little girl. You know what? I'm not trying to minimize the horror that has happened to those families. Not at all. But it has nothing to do with a gun. And it has everything to do with the messed up head and the messed up heart of that piece of garbage that shot them. So, keep going. I would encourage you, read this. Read the Declaration of Independence. It's outstanding. It's something else. It really applies to today as much as it did then.